Welcome. I'm Anne. This is exciting. I see lots of new faces tonight. Makes me think back to how this all started. My life, this group. Just this morning, I was waiting at the studio to shoot my scene, and they came up to me to say, "We have to postpone the shoot till tomorrow because Steve has to rush to an emergency room." Poor Steve, his crazy brother Tom got into an accident, and he needed to be in the emergency room to see that they took care of him. Steve's a great director and a really good guy. So I'm packing up my stuff, and I start thinking about how far I've come. In my life, I mean. And my thoughts keep traveling back. 12 years old. Waiting in the hospital for what I really hope is my last chemo treatment. I have a rare form of cancer in my right leg, and it had to be amputated. My parents, they seemed to resent me. I think they made me feel like I caused it. The cancer, I mean. I'm the youngest. I have 3 older brothers. I must have been an accident or something. My parents just didn't seem to want me. I don't know why, but they didn't really pay much attention to me. We lived on this big farm in Missouri. I was homeschooled, never really learned much. I mostly helped my mother around the farm. They thought I wasn't of much use and that nobody would marry me anyway, not with one leg. I had to get fitted for a prosthetic leg, which made me feel even worse about it because it was so clumsy and ugly and hard to put on and to take the damn thing off. Anyway, I got some jobs in the town, stocking shelves, cashier at a restaurant, things like that. And people were nice. They told me I was smart and pretty and I could make something of myself. My mom and dad never told me things like that. But then I started reading all this stuff about California. I mean, I bought books and magazines, and I even made it to the library sometimes when my brothers would have to go near there. California. It's just so beautiful to me. I'd watch all these TV shows that took place there, and I don't know. I guess I just really had to get away from where I was. The town, my family. So by the time I was 18, I saved up, I got on a bus, I never looked back. Funny, no one tried to look for me. No, but I made it. I made it out here, in LA. I found this apartment, I have a great roommate, Fran. Everyone I met is nice. Whenever they see my artificial leg, no one says a thing. And I don't have to keep wearing pants anymore. I mean, I have really nice clothes now. I believe in myself. I can take care of myself. Those kinds of thoughts are so new to me. I'm happy. And my roommate, Fran, she thought I'd enjoy going to this acting workshop that she's in just to see it. I didn't want to, but I did. And the whole thing, acting, intrigues me. I enrolled for 3 months. I stayed 2 years. I worked in a bookstore to help make ends meet, and one day, a woman walked in. She had heard about me and what had happened with my leg. She asked my help. Her daughter, Amy, had lost her leg in a terrible car accident, and she was just a few years younger than me. She had been living at home for about 5 years, and her mother wondered if I could call her and let her know that it's okay. It'll be okay. But when I called her, she barely spoke to me. She hung up after a few minutes. Oh, but it got me thinking. Acting's going great, but something's missing. Maybe I could help. Maybe I could help people. Maybe she would call me back. And about a week later, she did. In that time, we talked for almost an hour. I can't tell you how that made me feel. So, Amy and I started a group. First few weeks, it was just the two of us, but word got out. There's many more of us now. People need to be heard. It's working out. And here I am, home. I'm finally where I've always wanted to be. Which is why I'm so excited tonight to introduce you to our new group leader for the next year. Over to you, Amy.
Why do I have to get a new license? Oh yeah, 2 years since they took it. 2 years since I woke up in that hospital. I'll never forget that day. I was starting to regain consciousness and had no idea where I was. I'd been in a streetcar race, going very fast, and my car had turned over. Taking risks, it's in my nature. I had some internal injuries, 3 broken ribs, a broken nose, concussion, and lacerations all over my body. The nurse said I was very lucky. She said my brother Steve had been waiting to see me for about 12 hours. Steve's very big in the movies. He'd rushed here from the set to rescue his little brother again. We grew up in New Orleans with wonderful parents. They gave us a lot of love. That's really what you need most if you're going to make a success of yourself, right? Steve and I went to different colleges. When he graduated, he went right out to Los Angeles to get his master's in film, and there was so much opportunity for him in California, he just decided he'd stay here. I got my degree in education. I drifted for a while doing different jobs, but after 2 years of that, I got a job teaching at a school near where my parents lived. They were getting older, and I thought it was better not to be too far away from them. I was teaching history and sports to 13-year-old boys. I enjoyed working with them. They do these silly things that would get them into trouble, and I gotta say it amused me. They reminded me of myself. Yeah, my mom, she had heart problems since she was a teenager, and when she died, my dad died from a stroke shortly after. They'd been together for 45 years. It's as if they couldn't live without each other. So I moved out here to California to be with my brother and his family. Got a good teaching job. But when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, I got on the first plane. Yeah, we still had family there, and there were so many people I'd grown up with. And when I saw what had happened, the ruin, I couldn't catch my breath. I worked for 2 months there to try to help. It was so hard to rescue so many people because they'd be trapped in places you couldn't get to without the right equipment. But I didn't hesitate. I just jumped right in and helped. But there were some. I only made a dent. You know, I was there 2 months and I just made a dent. I went back again twice to help. You know, it never occurred to me till now just how many risks I'd taken to try to rescue so many people. And this car accident put me in the hospital. When Steve came to take me home, we were heading towards the 3rd floor elevators, and I thought I heard this woman crying, or maybe she was asking for help or something, but her voice, the way she sounded, I guess I just imagined it. Steve's taken me in. He's made me promise to stop racing. I'm a grown-up guy now. He's right. When I heard that lady's voice, maybe it was still the concussion, but what I heard in her voice, it reminded me of all the voices I'd heard from all those other people just waiting to be rescued. And as we got further away, a voice faded in my head, but it's haunted me for a long time.
When you come down to it, I'm just like you. You may think of me just as your therapist, but I was there where you are now. The cast on your arm, those bruises on your cheeks, that was me. For me, it all started when my father walked out on my mother and me. It didn't take her long to remarry, and my stepfather was a very mean man. They kicked me out of the house when I was 16. The family of my best friend took me in, and somehow I managed. I finished high school. I married a year later. Married at 19. God, what my first husband did to me, I was scared to stay. I was even more afraid to leave. My older sister, she lived in Las Vegas. She sent me some money to come and stay with her. I was determined to start fresh. At least in Vegas, you can get a quick divorce. So I got a good job at a casino as a dealer. And for the first time in my life, I was able to save some serious money. I bought a small house, and then I met another man. He treated me well. He didn't have a job, but he said that he had some good job offers, and he was going to take one of them soon. My sister, she kept saying to me, there's something not right about him, but she couldn't put her finger on it. But I didn't listen. We got married. And my sister, she was right. It was bad from the start. See, I was still working at that casino. And one afternoon, this large, very drunk man, he just crashed into me, and I got slammed into one of the tables. I was rushed to the hospital, and the paramedic told me that I had a broken collarbone and that my back was badly injured. So they put me in a room on the 3rd floor, and they hooked me up to an IV, and I am totally immobilized. And that is when I see him come in. When I see my husband's eyes, when I see that look, I know what that look means. And I'm thinking not even a hospital is going to be safe. I could hear these two men. They were laughing and passing by outside my room, and I try to get their attention, but they don't hear me. And I don't want my husband to know that I'm scared. But they just keep going. And then my husband, he came closer to my bed, and I can see something in his hand, a needle, a syringe. He injects that into my IV, and then he's gone. I must have blacked out. Luckily, the nurse, she saw that I wasn't lying right in that bed, and she yanked the IV out of my arm. They checked it. They found methanol was in it. He tried to kill me. The police, they didn't do anything. And while I was in that hospital, he sold my house, and then he cleaned all the money out of our bank account, and then he just disappeared. And I didn't have the strength to find him. But I got myself back together again, and I moved on with my life. I worked during the day. I went to school at night. I majored in psychology. I became a therapist. It's right. I have seen so much abuse myself. I want to help you. You're who I was.